Welcome to Board Game Empire. We're going to be giving you a brief overview of Trailblazer The Arizona Trail. So this is the second Trailblazer game that's came out, but this is the Arizona Trail version, and it's coming to Kickstarter around February 6th, I believe. So we will put the link in the description if you want to follow and check out that Kickstarter as it moves along. So right off the bat, there is a lot to this game, so I'm just doing a really brief overview. But it's basically you are traveling 100 miles each week over 8 weeks, so for a total of 800 miles through the Arizona Trail. So everything obviously is themed for the Arizona Trail. So it has lots of scenery and birds and animals and things that are could be found along that trail. So basically, each player starts out with their action trackers. There's one large one that you'll be using to pick your place, first, second, third, or fourth, turn order. That's a mandatory action, and they are resource cost attached to that based on which turn order you want. So if you want to be first place, it's going to cost you 2 of the supply packs on your resource tracker to take that action, to be first. If you want to be second place, it's 1 supply pack and 2 health. Third place is 1 supply pack and 2 water. And then fourth place just costs you 1 supply track. So each player is going to be, in turn order, be choosing which ones they want to take. Each player also gets several trackers. There's these little octagon ones that are basically used to track the terrain track, and also certain achievements that you obtain either on the player board. You can see I did 2 achievements on my player board, which are on the side and the bottom, or the State 48 cards. If there's first, second, and sometimes third place rewards you get for obtaining those, and those occur after the 4th and the 8th week. So those are an event that happens later in the game, so it gives you time to kind of work towards those, and those are placed at the beginning of the game, so you know what's going to what you might want to go for if you want to go for that. So your player board consists of the middle, which is a mural. This is empty, and it has I'll show you this one. Quentin's wasn't as full. As you can see, there's rewards as you cover up spots on there. You'll gain rewards immediately. So your goal was to fill it in completely with flora and fauna cards of different shapes. Based on which shapes you chose to put in there, you can get bonuses if you claim them. You only get 3 of those trackers, so you have to be choosy with which rewards you want to claim with those. Down here, there's different goals for your completed mural. If you want to claim that one, you can get 5 points, or gold is what they call it in this game. They call it a superstition gold marker. Or you can do 4 passage cards of different type terrains. I think I did the completed mural one. That only gives you 2 packs. So I wouldn't honestly waste my tracker on that. You want to get gold or grit are your most valuable things to gain in this game. Or you can do 4 passages cards of the same terrain type. Your resources are turquoise, copper, and silver. Silver and copper. Turquoise is the main commodity that you spend, but silver and copper are exchanged at a different ratio. So 3 silver equals 1 turquoise, 2 copper equals 1 turquoise. So if you don't have the turquoise, you can spend your silver and copper in lieu of turquoise. So you'll be tracking those resources as you gain them and spend them throughout the game. You also get 3 additional to start of action trackers. And there's a 4th one you can gain by getting to this spot. This spot on the elevation ladder. And that gives you an extra action permanently. There's also temporary extra actions with the Dutchman
Yeah, Dutchman.
Something Dutchman. What are those called? Oh, Lost Dutchman. So there's 6 of those in the game. They're placed throughout the terrain track, and as you reach those, you get those for 1 turn only to use. There's also, can you hand me one of those? There's 4 different animals.
Oh.
There's 4 different animal miniatures that you can also obtain. There's the jackalope, the
turtle,
desert tortoise, Roadrunner, and there's one more. Forget what it's called. Something weird.
Looks like a boar.
Javelina. Guess I'm saying that right. So you can get these by passing these stars with the picture of the jackalope inside of them. You get to take these. They get you an extra action, and you take one of the cards that go with them. And for this one, you would put 3 cubes on it. That means you could take that action 3 times, and then you have to give this back so someone else can use it if they reach that spot on the ladder. This one gets you 1 water and 1 turquoise for 2 turns, 1 water and a silver for the last turn. And again, once your cubes are depleted on that, and you can use that once every turn until depleted. I was going to show them what the others did. Okay. The jackalope, you get to use that twice. That one, you can only use that once per game, but you can do it twice. It's basically, well, I take it back. I said that wrong. All the animals are not extra actions. This one's really the only one that's an extra action. The others get you extra resources. I need to rephrase that. So the jackalope, two different times, 2 different turns, not in the same turn. You could place him on any spot on the board and take that action. It's a worker placement game, so you do it just like any other worker placement. The good thing about the Lost Dutchman and the jackalope is they're invisible, basically. So the rules don't apply as far as placing them on a space with another player. You can only place normally your action tracker on a space that hasn't been taken. But however, like for instance here on this crossroads, what is that called? Crossroads, I can't remember what it's called, but crossed arrows. It's normally only 1 person can be here in the center. You could place a little Dutchman or Lost Dutchman, or the jackalope there. Same vice versa. If there's a jackalope or the little Lost Dutchman there, you can also place your tracker there. You don't have to worry about them. They're basically ghosts that don't pertain to those normal rules. But normally you can be the only one. There's lots of different actions you can choose from in this game. You just got to have the resources to do it. For most of them, there are a few that gain you resources, but those are there's very few of them, and those normally get taken up fairly quickly in the rounds. So also 2 more figures. There's the Cigarro, which is a cactus, and the Gila monster. The Gila monster prevents you from taking a certain stack of either flora or fauna cards or flora palomino. Am I saying that right? Tiles, palominos, or fauna palomino tiles. So the person that is in last place on the scoring in the superstition goal gets to choose one, place it on that tiles or cards of their choice, and no one can take from that pile. But if you take from one of the cards or tiles that's in the same column as where the Gila monster is, it costs you a life on top of the normal resources you have to spend. The cactus goes to the person with the least amount of grit. That person gets to take an extra point around the board, which is the superstition goal points, when anyone, including themselves, purchases a card with that blue Arizona star. I think that's what it's called on it. So you're basically taking one action at a time, going around the table until you're out of your action trackers. The beginning of the round, you claim your gateway resources, which are these. This card will be changing each round. So you know ahead of time what you're going to get next round. This game is a lot about planning your turns. So you need to make sure you have resources to do what you want to do, and have your trackers kind of planned out where you're going to place them. I know there's going to be people that take spots of what you want to do, so that's going to put a wrench in your plan, but so you just have to plan accordingly on that. But you will know the round before what you're going to get next time on that. Then everyone does their crossed arrows. So wherever you're at on this, you can either go left or right, or you can go to a different crossed arrows with the spot that's relative to the one you already are on. So if you're here, you can go here, here, or you could go here and here, the left and right. You cannot go across. That's a legal move. So that prevents you from just, and you have to always move it. You can't stay in the same spot. That prevents people from bogarting the same resource on the whole game. So you can, however, go on the same space as someone else. They get a turquoise. They gain a turquoise when you do that. The middle one you cannot go on the same space, but the crossed arrows spaces you can. When you take those resources, of course, you're going to be choosing. There's turquoise points, there's silver, there's spots you can move up on the terrain trail, different resources on your board. You right away you move your trackers to account for that. Everyone does that in turn order. Then after that, that's when you do the Gila monster. Whoever's in the last place would do that. Then you just start by turn order. We don't have our little trackers on there, but whoever's in, and you will be putting them here, your little trackers, in first, second, third place. So you know, this is kind of the round tracker, so you know which week you're in. Oh, they're all the way up top. Duh, that's why. Obviously, they're up here because we finished the game. So you're going to be moving these round to round based on who's in first, second, and third place. Also on this round tracker is tells you which deck to use for the passage cards. There's 4 different decks. I don't know if they could see that.
Yeah, they can see all the decks.
So with 4 different colors. The first week is yellow, or second week's yellow, then it switches, or actually no, second week it switches to brown. It stays that for 2 weeks, then it goes to the black, stays that for 2 weeks, then it stays to green for the rest of the game. And I will say they get progressively more expensive in resources on the passage cards. So I'll go over the passage cards. There's the cost to purchase them. You can see this is quite pricey. You have to be 7 spaces. So these are terrain spaces. You can see they match here. That costs, you have to be 7 or higher. You have to have your tracker here on this one. The red one, you would have to be 6 or higher. And then you also have to pay 3 of the supply packs and 2 water. If you can do all that, you will gain 2 grit, which are these black octagons right here, 2 turquoise, 8 points, and you get to move 1 up on this terrain tracker. So there'll always be 4 cards there. As soon as someone takes one, it's replaced by a card from the same deck. So that's one action you could do by placing your tracker in one of these circles. There's only so many that can do it. In a 3-player game, there's 4 that can be taken. So there is limits to the number of actions that can be taken, like in most worker placer games. You could place one in one of these circles to take a flora tile or a flora card. The lower ones cost more, the higher ones cost less. They cost turquoise from 1 to 4. You get a choice of 2 different ones on the tiles. There's only 1 card on the cards, and these are not refreshed until the refresh phase. So if it's taken, it's gone for that. You can't get another one in that space for that round. Same with the fauna tiles and cards. The fauna cards work a little differently than the flora cards. I'll go over that in a minute. But same thing, you just pay your turquoise and choose one of the rows. This one's more expensive, that one's less expensive. The flora cards, basically you get these resources right away. So this one you get 2 supply, 1 point, and you get to move up 1 on this terrain tracker. And that just goes in your player area, because at the end of the game there might be there's different ways for you to get points. I think that's passage cards. I don't know if they had anything to do with these. Maybe some of these cards actually, because there's different ones, State 48 cards. There's a lot of different objectives. So I'm guessing those come into play, the terrain on one of those State 48 cards, because they did come into play on the bottom of your player board. You had to have all 4 different terrains on a passage card to get those points. So I would almost guarantee there's one that has to do with flora cards somewhere in the decks. The fauna cards, which are the animals, all have the cubes, just like the other animals, that you get to use. You get to use the ability, however many cubes are on there, and then it's done. But you keep these cards. So you just read whatever action, like this one says, when you take an action and receive grit, pay 1 extra gold to gain 1 more grit. So it's just things abilities that you get as a bonus when you get those cards. The tiles obviously are used to fill in your mural. The placement rules in the mural is you have to start here on the Arizona flag. Whatever piece you get, it has to cover that. And then you build out from there. They have to be adjacent from there on out to another tile. You can't just place it wherever. There's also, if you place your tracker here, you can get whatever resources again that you received at the beginning of the round. If you place a tracker here in the center of a crossed arrow track, you could take any one of those resources, and that one, it doesn't matter if someone is on that space, they get a turquoise. And again, this is the prototype, so the rules may change a little. I forgot to say that in the beginning. This is the prototype. And if I get any rules slightly wrong, I do apologize, because this is a huge game. And it was a lot to learn. So. All
right, I'll go over the last 2. There's the poison, it's pretty much random where you get. It goes up to 3.
That's how many points you lose at the end of the game if you still have it.
But there are cards to eliminate those that you'll be able to obtain.
You didn't tell how you get the poison.
You get the poison by
not having enough resources. So if you don't have enough turquoise to pay for something, or don't have enough resources to pay for your turn order, you have to take a poison tile for each resource you're missing. And at the end of the game, if you have those, whatever points are on the back of it is how many you lose for each one.
And then in this track, you also go to the weather, I don't know what they're called.
Weather cards.
Weather cards. And a lot of them pretty much affect everyone's. I think there was just one, or maybe one that...
I'm glad you mentioned this track. The way you move up on the elevation ladder is every time you place a tile in your mural. You move up 1.
So these tiles.
And you could pay more. You could pay turquoise up to 2 times each time you move up that to gain additional spaces. And that amount also goes up as you get up the ranks more. So first it only costs you 1 turquoise. And as you can see, there's little rewards and bonuses as you go up that elevation ladder.
Okay, and then the last thing is, the reason you want to do grit and points and combine them as close as you can is because that is how much you deduct. If you have them too far spread, you're deducting more points.
Right. So the grit goes this. You're moving your grit tracker this way. Your points tracker this way.
You want to get them as close as you can to each other.
And the grit starts out where you're bouncing from grit to grit space. It starts out, it's 2 spaces apart on the board. Then when you get down here, it's 3 spaces apart. Then when you get over here, it's 4 spaces apart. So you're moving closer and closer to your scoring tracker the further you get on grit. And the scoring is wacky. I will say it's wacky at the end. And it was, you're basically subtracting whatever space you are on your grit tracker minus whatever space you are on your points tracker, and a lot of times you will get negative points. So whoever has the least negative wins. We didn't all have negative points.
I didn't.
And so Anthony ended up winning this game. He had 68 points and 57 grit. So it was 68 minus 56. Or no, 67 minus 56 was his points. I was at 60 points, 59 grit, so I had 1 point at the end of the game. So it's really weird on the way that scoring works, but that's what determines who wins the game. You do get more points at the end of the game once all 8 weeks have been played. You take away your poison points. You get 1 point for every resource. Every 3 cubes? I can't remember. Those are marked out. Obviously, it's for every cube.
Oh, it is.
They marked those out, so they're obviously should change that rule. For every star, the Arizona star you have, there's a certain amount of points. You get 3 points for 1 of them, 6 points for 2 of them, 10 points for 3 of them. If you have... I knew those come into play. The flora and the fauna cards. I knew those. I couldn't remember it. If you have all 4 fauna and flora sets, you get 7 points. If you have 3 different ones, you get 4. 2 different ones, you get 2. So those do come into play. That's those different terrain types. That's another thing you got to kind of keep up with. And then you subtract, and then that's the only points that are at the end that you're going to be scoring. I didn't go over the state 48 at the end of the 4th and 8th week. You will basically be looking at the card. You can only have one tracker on each card. You kind of go through them and you choose which one you want to go for, and if you have the most of that, you get to put your tracker there. So it's kind of which one do I want to go for, these, or do I want to go for the things on my board? Because you only have 3 of those trackers to divide between many different ways to score bonus points.
Okay,
did I get everything?
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, there's a lot to this game. So I think it's like a
3.68
complexity on BGG.
And the original one is 2.77, so it does jump quite a bit.
We never played the original. I don't know if this is anything like the original one or not, but so this was all new to us, so we had to learn all of it. But so it's a worker placement game with a lot of different ways to score.
Yeah, worker placement, set collection, pretty much.
Yeah. Resource management.
Oh yeah, resource management.
Yeah. So that's basically it in a nutshell. So what did you think about it?
I really like the illustration, the components, the wooden pieces. I'm sure they'll have more upgraded components in the Kickstarter. I don't remember if this could be Kickstarter or
it's Kickstarter.
Oh yeah,
February
Kickstarter.
6th.
Yeah,
what they said.
So I'm sure I'll have a lot of stretch goals and a lot of different things.
Wow, if they had more, I can't imagine.
So the complexity level might go up. So if they do add more elements to the game, but I really like the components, everything, the illustration, font's easy to read. So as far as replayability, high replayability, kind of limited because it does take like 20 minutes to set up. Of course, tear down probably be like 5 minutes less. And then the game itself takes a long time to play. You're looking at probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. might be able to speed it up depending on how fast each
and
player
player
is.
count.
Yeah, and player count. So kind of fine line between high replayability, and it all depends on how familiar you are with the game and everything. So for the mechanics, I really like the mechanics. We love worker placement, also point salad, set collection, resource management type games. I think this is right up my alley, and it's very strategic. I also like the grit and point, how you have to kind of intersect them, and that's how you determine the points and everything. So there's a lot of different ways to collect points, with the tiles, the board, the area of, 47, or and then different avenues. There's 2 trackers plus your own tableau area where you put the tiles. So there's a lot of different things that you're kind of keeping track of throughout the game. It is kind of a slow. You are waiting probably like 5 minutes per player, 5 to 6 minutes per player to finish their turns and everything. So it does. You are pretty much have some off time to do other stuff while you're playing. If you have memorized this game, so. Great mechanics. Overall total, I'm giving this like a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think it's very strategic. I can see a lot of people that are play a lot of games pretty much favoring this. And there's just so many different mechanics and different ways to score. And so there's a lot of strategies that each individual will be able to try to go for throughout different games. And so highly recommend. What did you think?
I don't rate this as high as Anthony. It's a good game. It's not a bad game whatsoever. I think I would have had more fun if I wasn't learning the rules and teaching and constantly referring to the book. So it took away from the fun of the game for me. And the game takes so long, we just don't have time to play it again. Like it's a long one. I was spent after learning and playing it and teaching and answering questions. But I would say, based on my first impression, I would give this a 7. I'm guessing if I was able to play this more, get it to the table and play it more, I would probably go up to an 8 for me, because I do love this type of game. I love worker placement, but for some reason this one was a little more difficult to remember and digest the rules. I don't know why, but it was just harder. I think it's because of the mechanics of this crossed arrows. The terrain was self-explanatory. I mean, and again, it's a prototype, so the rules are still being ironed out on it. I think that was part of it too. Like there was a few things we were just not really sure about fully, like the Lost Dutchman, where you place them on the terrain track. I believe it's more of a random thing, so that's what we did. So I think if I was the final game, like once the final game's out and we play it and played it a few times, I think my score would be higher. So it is a great game, and if you've actually played the original one and liked it, you would probably definitely like this one, I'm assuming. Again, I don't know how similar they are, but I would think they were probably similar because they're Trailblazer games. So, yeah. And the theme, if you're, like that, the theme, the Arizona Trail theme, it's if you like nature, it's all about nature and beauty and things like that. And so, I mean, and honestly, for a prototype, it's very impressive. I mean, it's looks pretty much finished to me, I think. But so I think this is definitely worth checking out if you like worker placement games. Just know the first game is going to be painful because, I mean, like all these type games that are this big.
Well, it's easier when I guess we're one of the first ones to actually do this for this game. So we don't have like the how to play games or the people that provide the how to play videos. So
yes, we were learning simply from reading in the book. There was
Yeah.
nothing to reference when
Yeah.
we were learning this. Whereas we normally, a lot of times, have something to reference just to check ourselves. Are we understanding that right? Because, a lot of rule books can be, interpreted different ways. So, little rules. So, I believe we've got this. I think we've basically have it down to 99% at least.
Well, I hope after, was it 8 rounds?
We might have missed one rule, but I apologize if we did. But it's the prototype, and rules change anyway by the time the final thing comes out. So we will put the link in the description if you want to check this out. It's a beautiful game. Great mechanics, actually. If you like worker placement set collection games, and a little bit more complex. It is more complex. I would not suggest this for anyone just getting into board games.
Oh, no.
You would need to work up to this just a little, because we play a lot of games, and I was struggling a little bit just to remember everything. I'd had a little bit of a hard time remembering all the stuff, but because there is quite a few things you're doing, in between the rounds, and during your refresh phase, you're doing like 5 steps. During the beginning of the round, you're doing 3. Just the little nuances like that. You just gotta, and if you played this more, that would just be second nature. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like. Feel free to leave a comment or a question. We'll get to those as soon as we can. Thank you if you're already a subscriber. We appreciate it. We hope if you're not, you will subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of content, and if you click that bell, you'll be able to get notifications of it. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next time.